Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Did I just say good evening? Wow. It is really early in the morning, isn't it? Well, it's evening somewhere, right? Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. John Henry Soto here. Welcome to 7 a.m. Do you know that the moment that you stop blaming others is the moment you take control of your life? And we're going to talk about that this morning on 7 a.m. Stay tuned. Hey, good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. So, sometimes I walk up to my setup here, turn on the lights, computer, log into my software system here. I test the mic, I test everything, and then I think about, wait, what is the show? What are we talking about? What's the show about? Because I'm still kind of like waking up a little bit. And as I and then I look at the title of the show, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. And of course, I always have notes on my show as well. But it's just a funny feeling. So when I said good evening, I was sort of still in the mode of from last night because I had a show last night, my other show that I do called Counterparts. Um, but okay, so I want to talk a little bit about accountability, which is one of those subjects that um, it's really interesting. I mean, I said, that the moment that you stop blaming others is the moment that you really take control of your life and you get your power back. Um, so many people make the mistake of thinking that if they make a mistake or if they're wrong on something that they suck, right? That they're not good, that they have problems or whatever. And no, the accountability is basically it's recognizing that you're in control. When you're in control, you have the ability to fix things, right? But if you blame someone else, you can't fix it, right? So one of the major things that I actually discovered in my life, and believe it or not, this was not that long ago. It's not like I was doing this in my 20s, 30s, or even 40s for that matter. But more recently, I was able to really look at things and say, well, who can help me? And I was thinking to myself, this like, who can help me? Like, I needed to handle a few things, marriage, finances, um, and then I started studying a little bit on my religion. I started reading a little bit more of the Way to Happiness booklet, which is a small subject. It's not a religious book per se, but understanding the subject matter. By the way, I'm still giving these out to anybody who wants a free copy. You just have to email me or message me through any of these platforms, and I'll send one out to you electronically or a physical copy. And I decided during this study period, something uh, I realized that accountability is really a key factor that I was missing. Everything, every single thing that has happened to me in my life is my responsibility. It's my fault. I created it. Somehow I created it. Whether somebody else did something, I put myself in the situation to be hurt by that person. Whether I took the job that turned out to be a disaster, right? It was my responsibility. I took that job. I agreed to doing this. And as soon as you start doing that, you start realizing, oh, wait a minute, you know what? I am the one, it's my fault. Everything that happens is my fault. And I think where a lot of people struggle is, they spend their lives assigning blame, right? Assigning blame to, their how they grew up, the environment they grew up in, their parents, the clients that they're working for, the government. It's always the government's fault for everything. As soon as they get their act together, I'm gonna be fine. And the problem is that then someone else is in control, right? And so if you're not in control of how to even approach the problem and how to even resolve it. Because remember, you can't look at a resolution to a problem if you yourself don't even think that the problem is yours, right? You think the problem is someone else's. So you're sitting back waiting for them to resolve this problem when in actuality, it's your responsibility. You should be accountable for that problem. You should be the one that actually works out a solution. And how do you do that? Well, number one, and the easiest thing you can do is take responsibility for it, be accountable, and say to yourself, write it down if you have to. I am responsible for my current state, right? There's the obvious things, right? People who drink too much, people who use drugs, people who are unfaithful, people who cheat at their jobs, people who steal at their jobs. All these things are obvious things that you're doing for a reason. You're not taking responsibility for it. You're saying, well, whatever. You're blaming your spouse for cheating. You're blaming your job for stealing from them. You're blaming your friends because you lied to them for something. You just blame, 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 right? Um, and you find yourself in dark places. Now, those are obvious transgressions that people do, and they don't take responsibility for them because they're hiding behind it. They don't want to be found out, so they sit on it. And remember, those things don't go away. By the way, when you do something like that, it doesn't go away just because you in your mind say, "I'm going to be better." It doesn't go away. It stays there. It festers. Um, all these ideas that you can think it out, or you can just pray it out, or you can just be forgiven. Still, that thing that was created, that energy source of a transgression, of a wrong thing, is still there in your environment and in your let's just say in your mind somewhere, right? um, and it still injures the being. Now, of course, a spiritual being can rise above things and feel better, but that thing that you created still needs to be resolved in some way. And maybe it's a thing that you can't resolve anymore. Maybe it was somebody that you don't see anymore. You don't know where they are. Maybe you did something in the situation that you can't go back and correct, right? That's a different story, but there are things that are still going to remain with you, and there are things that you can actually resolve and take responsibility for, even in something that you can't go back to fix. Okay. Um, so once you actually decide, right, because it's a decision that you have to make, right? It's not an enforcement, right? So somebody can't force you to not do to be responsible. I mean, the court system can, right? You get arrested, you go to jail. Now you're accountable for it, and you're doing the time, right? But it's not you're not free. You're a trapped person, right? So being responsible and being and taking accountability has to do with wanting to be free, right? And the funny thing is that a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for things because they feel it's going to trap them, or they feel that it's going to make them soft. When someone else is in control, you have something to blame, where you don't have to then feel like you did anything wrong, where you're waiting for someone else to correct it. That's a much better way of operating. It makes a person feel better, right? It is a complete trap. And what happens is you continue to trap yourself when you don't take responsibility for your own actions and for your own state, because whatever is out there that's preventing you from moving forward, you can resolve if you sit down and you say, I am responsible for this. There are people that I know that are trapped in bad relationships. They're trapped in bad jobs. They're trapped in bad friend relationships, right? You have a friend that's just toxic, but you've known the guy or the girl for many many years, and they're part of your world. And it's like, I can't, they're godparent, they're the godparents to my children. They're It's my sister, it's my brother, it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my uncle, it's my godparent, whatever the case may be. You have that ability to say to yourself, I need to walk away. I need to take responsibility for this toxic environment that I am. And you are responsible for keeping yourself in that environment. Remember, it's very easy to get up and walk away if you decide that you want to be accountable. Now, of course, there are certain things you have to resolve before you leave. So let's just say income wise, let's say you're living with your parents and you're an older person and you can't get out. You can't find a way to get out. Well, what is keeping you there? What is it? Finances? Okay, so you already know now that what you need to do is you need to handle your finances. You need to figure out, how can I make enough money to survive on my own? How much do I need? And I'm just throwing out an example here, right? You go and you get done, you get your book, right? You get your notebook, you get your pen, and you sit down. Okay, I need to pay rent. Rent is going to cost me whatever. Let's just say if you're single, you're by yourself. Obviously, all these situations, you could have children, which would make things much more difficult, right? Um, but let's say you're a single person and you write down, okay, I'm paying an apartment. I'm here on the East Coast, New Jersey. New York City is even more expensive, although it's coming down because everybody's leaving. But let's say $1,400 for a one bedroom apartment, roughly around there, right? 14 to 16, depending what you want to, how you want to live, right? You can go down lower and say $1,200 for a studio if you're by yourself, right? You write that down. How much do I need cable television? No, you don't need cable television. Don't pay for cable television. What else do you have to what else do you need? You need to pay for your cell phone, right? You need a phone to be able to communicate. Maybe you need a computer. Maybe that's your job. So you need an internet connection. You don't need the whole package that they trick you with. You only need an internet connection, which will run you maybe 60 bucks, 70 bucks, depending where you go, right? Write that down. Then get a number down. You say, okay, I need to make $2,000 a month in order to be on my own. And you look and see, okay, right now I make $1,500 a month, and that's why I'm living with my parents, or that's why I'm still in this trapped in this relationship. I need an extra $500. How can I do that? Well, where do I work now? Let me see if I can get more money from where I work. Can I get a promotion? Can I ask for a raise? Can I do another part-time job? It's gonna take accountability, but the funny thing is that once you actually decide, this is what I'm doing and this is the responsibility that I'm going to take from this moment on, and I'm going to be accountable for every single action that happens in my life, the universe, the world, God, whatever you want to call it, will actually start granting you. You know why? Because it is your true self. It is your true expression. It is who you are as a person, as a spiritual being, as whatever you believe. It is who you truly are. When you start really confronting that person that you truly are, you start pulling in so much beautiful things and energy and positivity. It becomes your universe. It becomes your world, because now you control it. You say how things are going to go. You decide which direction you want to go. What's the greatest good for all areas in your life, right? And that is such an empowering, a tremendous amount of empowering moment when you decide that. And I guarantee you, I will guarantee this right here on this show. Today is April 14th, 2021, and it is now 7:14 in the morning. I will guarantee you that you will have this inner peace and this control that you've never felt before, because you can take a deep breath and say, you know what? I don't have to work for them. I don't have to be in this relationship. I don't have to. Maybe right this second I do, because I need to resolve something. But my goal is to separate myself. And you know why? Because I put myself in this situation. I'm responsible for it. No one else can actually keep me here other than myself, right? We're responsible for the condition that we're in. And I do believe with 100% of my heart that once you start working towards you, Start working towards taking responsibility, that the world will become such an easier place to live in. Coffee will taste better. Watch this. Mm. See, that's better now than it was when I started this show. It just gets better and better, and things, you become also more valuable to those around you, because those around you will see you as a source of control, as a source of someone that they want to be around. Because, man, I want to be around that person because they're taking so much responsibility, and I want to be that way. So you're going to get people coming into your space and coming into your environment. It doesn't feel good when someone else is in control, right? And if you just decide and you reclaim your power, the outcome will be incredible. Let's talk a little bit about different types of situations that people put themselves in. Number one, and this is probably the most popular one, right? Is a job. People would think that it may be a relationship, right? But a relationship, you got together at some point in that relationship because there was some type of love there. There was something there that made you feel good, whatever that was. And maybe not all of them, but I'm just generalizing a little bit about relationships. But let's just talk about your job, because your job controls a lot of different things. It controls your income, it controls your lifestyle, it controls your quality of life, right? It controls the kind of foods that you can afford to eat. Eating healthy is not really that much more expensive than eating cheap and ordering out all the time. It really isn't. It's just that it's a little more time consuming to eat healthy. You have to cook at home, right? You have to go shopping. You got to find out what the ingredients are. You have to, so all those things you might buy groceries for a month, or for at least a week, where for the same amount of money that you would eat out for 2 or 3 times, maybe 2 times. I've seen people spend 50, 60, $70 a pop to eat out with their family. We do it once a week here as a treat to the family. We order from some of our restaurants. It's not only because we like ordering out, but it's also we want to support the local businesses here in Bayonne, and the restaurants have been struggling. So we pick a restaurant that we want to actually support, and we get a couple of them and we order something. That's part of what we do as a treat. But 90% of the time, we're eating at home, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I do a lot of the cooking here. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and it's part of something that I took responsibility for. I wanted to be accountable. My health was at risk. I wasn't the healthiest person, and so that is one responsibility. It's the job that you're holding. So you have to go back and you have to look at this current job situation. How much are you making? Maybe you're making a lot of money and you don't even realize it because you're wait. I say waste. Some people say spend, but waste is when you waste it on something that I don't think is valuable, right? Like cable television, right? I look at some TV shows and I stream a lot of stuff. I love movies. I'm a filmmaker. I'm an actor. I love to watch movies. Love to watch uh, great TV shows, listen to music, all these things that I really, really love. But I don't need a really expensive $300 package of where I get all 4 million channels that I know I'm not going to watch. I canceled it many years ago. I canceled it when I was sitting down on the couch watching Cops, watching another episode of Cops, and I love that show. But it was like, why am I spending what is it, $300 for episodes of Cops? I'm not even using what I have here. So we canceled it and only have a streaming service. But to me, it's a waste to have it. It's because you don't really need it. Now there's other vices that we can have, right? The really expensive phones that people buy, $1,200 for a phone. I'm like, $1,200. I'm like, I paid $300 for this phone. It does exactly the same thing. It puts me onto the internet. I can send emails, I can talk, I have unlimited everything, unlimited minutes, unlimited whatever, anything, all that stuff. I have it through Metro PCS, which people make fun of sometimes. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I got the $300 phone. I pay a month. I pay like $91 a month for my phone and my wife's phone together. So I don't pay the $130 that I hear people pay 100. There are ways that you can actually figure out how you can cut down so you can resolve your situation, whether it's be at home, so you can actually move out. So the job is the first thing you have to look at. How much income am I pulling in? On a monthly basis. The second thing you have to look at is who's around your environment. I did a show, a while back about auditing the five people that are in your environment. Who are the five people that you are close to? Find out who they are and see what their energy is like. Do you feel good around them? Do they make you feel like you can accomplish anything? That is the number one thing that you have to do when you're looking at your environment on who you're with. What are their personalities like? I've known this person for 40 years, but wait a minute. Every time I'm around this person, I feel sick. I feel sad. I don't want to be around this person. So there's some changes. You can only do two things, right? You can only handle them and make them and change them and have them be better, or you can disconnect from them. Unfortunately, disconnect seems to be like the thing to do. It's what I did from some people that I felt that every time I was around, I just felt like there was a negative energy to them. I just disconnected from them because I knew I wasn't going to sit there and handle this person to be different. You can't. It's really difficult to do that. So I decided to disconnect, and I got to tell you, it was in 2013 that I did this. That next 2 weeks, I was telling somebody step by step, day to day, all the great things that were happening to me on a day to day basis from separating from these people in just 2 weeks and deciding that I was going to disconnect from them. And in 2 weeks, incredible things happen, and it's been happening. And when people now come into my environment that I feel, they're out. They are out. I don't deal with it anymore. It's just not part of something that I deserve. I don't deserve to be around someone that's going to make me feel bad or inferior or 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 doubt myself in any way. So that's the second thing. The third thing you have to look at as well is what are you taking responsibility for in the past now that you didn't in the past? What are you currently being accountable for? And start saying, you know what, I have to be more responsible for my health. I have to be more responsible and take accountability for my job, my employer, and write a list of all the things that now you are going to take account. Those three things will get you there. Check out what your job is, find out how much money, check out those people that are around you in your environment, see if there's someone that you could disconnect from or somebody making you feel bad. If you can't find anybody around, maybe you're the one making others feel I'm just kidding. But find out who those people are. And number three, write down all the things that now you're going to be responsible for. Maybe you have credit issues. I've took out all this money and I did not take any responsibility for it, and I just walked away from it. And I'm hoping that 7 years is going to be taken off my credit, so I'm going to wait another 5 years before I do anything. Ouch! No, call up these creditors, set up appointments for them, and call them up and say, "Listen, this is my situation. Can I send you $50 a month until I can get until I do a little bit more?" They're gonna say yes. They're gonna say yes. Okay. The credit union, the credit bureaus, call them up. They're getting something. They're gonna want something, and at least they'll be able to stop to know that your credit is actually improving, and the credit bureaus will see that. Okay, so please take that as responsibility. So now you're gonna make a list on all those things, and those three things will actually give you, empower you to really take control of your life and to really be there for not only your friends and your family, but for yourself. You should be there for yourself. You should be the person that you go to, and you should have your own counsel. You should be the person that you go to first when you have an issue, right? And that is just full 100% accountability for everything. Once you do that, you have the power to do anything. All right, folks. I want to thank you all for tuning in this morning. Um, we will see you all tomorrow. I say we because it's me and my coffee cup. We are a team. Want to thank you all for joining me. Have a wonderful day out there. Make today great. Do the things that you love and take care of yourselves. And I will see you all tomorrow. And as always, peace.